Hello, and welcome to RIME Entertainment Showcase with your hosts, Rita and Mel.
This is Paris, the capital of gastronomy. With 115 top-rated restaurants, 1 million baguettes devoured each day.
Et bah c'est parti! So, what's this?
Planet Earth, home to a growing number of Homo sapiens and a whole lot of other creatures. It's a great place to live. But when it comes to the future of our small planet, the truth is, I've given up. And the odds are, so have you. What if there was another path?
I know I am a filmmaker, and there's no other choice for me.
Hi everyone, and welcome to RIME Entertainment Showcase Paris International Film Festival Special. Today we are talking to producer, director and writer Cindy Abel, and also very two special guests here, Colonel Pat Thompson and Barbara Brass, Barbara Brass. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Bonjour tout le monde.
Yes, bonjour.
Well, first of all, we do want to say congratulations for being selected. This is, an amazing documentary a story that needs to be told and needs to be shared globally. So thank you for being a part of it and for allowing us to be able to share this with our viewers as well. Cindy, can I just ask, can you tell us a bit about the documentary and what was it that made you decide that, yes, I need to make this, and the journey behind that?
Sure. Surviving the Silence is the untold story of two women in love who helped shape military policy. And that's also the journey that I was on as I started to make this film. When I first met Colonel Pat Thompson and her wife, Barbara Brass, it was just after the screening of my first documentary, Breaking Through, about openly LGBT elected officials. Yeah. And they came up to me afterwards and were quite lovely. And we started chatting. And then they started telling me that at that point, they'd been together almost 30 years. And I thought, wow, how do you stay with someone, especially when for many of those years, you have to pretend you're not together, both for your personal safety as well as for Pat Thompson's professional career. And so I was just, hopeful romantic that I am, I was just drawn into their story. And I thought, wow, I want to know more. And then as I'd learned about the historical piece, that Colonel Thompson had to preside over the board that would dismiss Colonel Grethe Cammermeyer, who had been a hero of mine for many years, I thought, whoa, why do I not know this? Why is this story underground? And so I knew that I had to tell it. And I was so fortunate that they've been so generous with their time and reliving the past, sometimes painful, often joyful, and to share that with all of us.
Yeah, and it's, again, like we mentioned, such an important journey to be shared with the world. Again, there's so many people that are still going through similar experiences, maybe, in certain cultures as well, in certain countries, they're going through so much where they have to keep things hidden, which is so unfortunate. I mean, Colonel Thompson and Barbara, I mean, what was it like to finally get your story heard, using this documentary as your platform, and just that journey towards that?
Well, for us, it was a huge bonus, because our goal and what we continued to do while the documentary was being filmed was to go to local and even far away colleges, churches, social groups, and share the story, because we felt it was time for this information to be out there in public. And we knew that there were so many people. We were just the tip of the iceberg of a group of people who are going through the same thing. So it was time to share that. And that's when we had the opportunity to have a film made. Well, that saved us a lot of time and travel, because now the film can go much farther than we ever could and would. And it's doing such a marvelous job of sharing the information that needs to be shared.
Yeah, I thought it was very exciting. And I am really happy that this film is going to be here on this plane for a long, long time, longer than we are. And the people, the LGBTQ people especially, that come after us will know what our struggles were by watching this film. And there's, so, like Barb says, there's so many others that relate to our story because they have a similar story.
Yeah. And I think there's so many people who are afraid to be open about it, and stay in the silence, and to have this film out there, to have that knowing that we're not alone, that there are others who have struggled and have come through it as well. I mean, going back to that and actually sort of reliving that journey, can you give us an insight out as to how you managed on a day-to-day basis through the struggles, and what kept you going through that, both yourself, Colonel Pat, and also Barbara?
Well, I just knew that this is the way it had to be. As much as I didn't like it and didn't agree with it, I knew it had to be this way for our survival as a couple and for Pat's survival in her job. So I did the best I could to play that role. And I think I did a pretty good job, because she never got discovered. So we decided to share our story. And there could have been times when, especially after the trial of Colonel Cammermeyer, where People Magazine was after us, and another news TV magazine was after us. And my whole feeling was, well, this is the time that we can come out and share that. Also, Pat is a lesbian, and there are other high-ranking military officers we knew personally who are in the LGBTQ community. So that was the way I felt I wanted to go, but I knew in my heart that that was the wrong thing, and so we had to stay stealth for more years until the time we chose to come out.
No, again, it must have been so difficult, and the bravery for both of you to be able to now, obviously come out and now be part of this documentary. We can only congratulate you both for that. I mean, for yourself, Cindy, so how emotional was it to direct this? Because I'm pretty sure there's going to be elements of, again, with this documentary that the viewers will see that really hit you right in the heart, and also can anger people as well. What was it like for yourself putting the whole documentary together?
The putting together was easier than the actual filming, because during the filming, I'm both being the observer as well as experiencing their emotions, if you will, enough so that I'm engaged with them. And, when whenever I interview anyone and we sit down, I'm like, ignore the cameras, ignore all the lights, ignore the other people. Let's just have a chat. And so to do that, one has to really connect with the people they're talking with. And with Barb and Pat, they were so open from our very first interview. They were willing to talk about anything that I asked them to. The only time where I don't want to say I lost control of my emotions, but where it was just so overwhelming and beautiful was in the film. It's set towards the end where Colonel Grethe Cammermeyer is talking with Colonel Pat Thompson for the very first time about the trial. Now they had, seen each other and spoken with each other, but this was the very first time that they spoke to each other about this, and they allowed us to record it. And at one point I realized I had tears streaming down my face as I'm behind one of the cameras. And I look over at my director of photography, Michael Bruno, and he's got tears starting to come down his face because it was so beautiful to see Colonel Cammermeyer lean over and tell Colonel Thompson, we won because of you.
Yeah.
And here Colonel Thompson had to do this horrible thing. It was the best of the impossible choices she was facing. But to say that and then to see the relief on Colonel Thompson's face and to know that that was, one more step towards recognizing her contribution to the end of not only Colonel Cammermeyer getting reinstated, but towards the end of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell anti-gay military policy.
Yeah. Amazing.
So that was the biggest challenge. And then the other part was just, their love story obviously flows throughout all of it. Yes, there's history that's revealed, and it's history built on a love story. And that's the part that drew me in, that drew my team in, and we were able to stay with that throughout.
Yeah, and I love to see that the fact that it was the bond of love that kept you both going through all of this, because it just shows that it's such a powerful energy. And whatever preference anyone has, it is about that bond. And you had to, it was a struggle, it was a fight, but again, it's, now you can see how much it's worth all of that, because you get to be together and be open. And I think that's the most important thing, is just being yourselves now. I mean in terms of that, Colonel Thompson, like when you heard that now that she was able to be reinstated, and again, it basically they decided to actually say, yeah, okay, we're okay with same-sex relationships. How did that feel when she told you that news?
It was amazing. It really was. I thought, wow, we won.
Yeah.
She got to do that, and she was reinstated and got to serve 3 more years before she retired. And I got to attend her retirement ceremony. It was wonderful.
Great. And what is life for you like now, obviously, since doing the documentary and sort of obviously having to almost kind of relive the whole experience and coming out of this now? How is life for you at the moment?
Well, I feel like right now life is good. We're very restricted because of the virus, but other than that, and living in our bubble, it is really good. And we look forward to getting through this virus thing and being able to get back to our normal life. I miss visiting my veterans. I would be called from the office and
the hospice
office. Yes, I was a hospice volunteer, and I would go out and visit the veterans that were sick and give them a flag and a medal and talk to them, and it was just great to be able to do that for them.
Yeah, amazing.
I really miss that.
Well, the way the film progressed, and we were fortunate that it did continue on into the time of our hyper activism, and you could see in the film how we were on the street for almost 4 years in front of our congressperson's office, with a group that we started, and that was something that just took all our time and energy. Every minute of every day was devoted to that activism. And now that COVID has kind of quelled that on so many levels, we're not out. No, hardly anybody is anymore. And some of our folks, we had 150 people, I think, who read my email every week, and we had anywhere from 50 to 100 people out on the street, and you see in the film. But one of the hardest times was when we had hate spewed upon us by the Proud Boys, and you see that in the film. So now that we have a new administration, we can all, I think, take a little breath of relief and feel some sense of, we worked hard for this. It made a difference. It didn't always feel like it when we were out there every day, but it did make a difference. And we see that we have more work to do, and we will continue on some level. It's quite different now. Most everything we do is just like we're doing now, a Zoom meeting 2 or 3 times a day, sometimes with different groups we're involved with. So we continue on another level, but I personally was completely and thoroughly exhausted from that effort, totally exhausted. And I feel like I'm still in recovery from it because it was so intense and so all consuming. So it feels good to have less to do, and to be able to stay home is fine.
Exactly.
Well, if I can just add, they haven't stopped volunteering. So Pat and Barb, maybe share with everyone what you've been doing during COVID and the volunteering that you've been doing and finding a way to help support people.
Well, through the group that I started, the Rat Pack, the Resistance Action Tuesdays and Thursdays, that email list, I send out notices, et cetera. And at least 6 months ago, maybe longer, closer to the beginning of the lockdown here, somebody who was involved in one of the areas nearby wanted to start a group of people to start donating food and supplies for undocumented and immigrants who have lost their jobs. These are some of the frontline workers and struggling with COVID illness themselves, and they have little resources. So every week we collect, our house is one of the drop-off points, and we collect food and supplies donated by people who come up 2 flights of stairs and drop off bags and boxes full of whatever it might be, food and supplies for these folks. And tomorrow, later today, she's coming to pick up a whole carload full of food and supplies that we have collected for the week. So every week I send out an email, and I try to be creative, sometimes more so than others. Like last week it was, this week, have a heart and donate. It's Valentine's Day. So we never know how it'll go, but it always usually fills her car with all kinds of things that people are in desperate need for. And that feels good to be able to do that, to be a midway point for that.
No, that's beautiful. And it's so good that virtually you can actually still continue the good work that you're doing. So even though, yes, we have this COVID pandemic, you're still able to do your part and to still give, which is so important. And what I love about it, what's beautiful about it, is how you've gone through so much struggle, so much prejudice against, just obviously just being who you are and just living the life that you want to live. And yet you're still giving, you're still caring for others. And that's I think that's a big message here in this interview that we'd love all our viewers, is that no matter what, it's still okay to give and to care for others, even though you've gone through your struggles. So, thank you for all that you do to help so many people.
Absolutely.
I mean,
sorry. We feel very fortunate. We live in a beautiful home, and we're safe. We have everything we need, practically more than we need. And it feels good to be able to have a conduit like that to offer giving back that is so desperately needed. And sometimes it feels like not enough, even whatever it is. It's just last week I got a donation from one of Cindy's incredible, she's an executive producer of this film. And I went to the grocery store and I couldn't even fill the cart. I mean, I couldn't take 2 carts. I needed 2 carts to fill, and it was just overloaded. And it was incredible to see where the donations are coming from and how much of a positive impact it makes. So it does feel good to keep on giving the best we can. And we, you know, we're getting here these COVID relief checks and things like that. And I think, well, now we have more to donate somewhere else, because we really personally can live without that. And we're so happy that we can, and we can offer that wherever it's most needed, hopefully in our community locally.
Yeah, beautiful. That's absolutely amazing. I mean, speaking of fundraisers, so again, on the website survivingthesilence.com, there's also a fundraiser as well that that is also on the website. Tell us a little bit more about that, about the donations and the fundraising.
The donations that are made online go through our fiscal sponsor, Independent Arts and Media. So I'm not sure how it works throughout the world, but for donations through the US, they're tax deductible.
Okay.
And those donations allow us to move forward with distribution. And what we need to do, for example, is, you know, as we work with attorneys to find us distribution and review the deals, or we look at licensing the footage beyond film festival use. There's a whole slew of different things that we need to do, but it's still, you know, and then packaging the film for the specs of the distributor. It's a nearly $25,000 expense. And so, you know, we're a little over $5,000 into that. And as we continue film festivals, we want to make sure that we continue to fundraise so that in the next few months, we're ready to go. If we have a distributor who says, hey, we want your film. We've actually been approached twice already and are continuing to field other offers, but we want to make sure that, you know, we're ready to go from day one.
Yeah.
And I just want to announce something that Barb and Pat don't even know, because I just learned this morning. We have been invited to screen our film at a Jewish film festival in Uruguay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Thank you. So that's festival number 26. And, you know, so far we've won 8 awards. And, you know, I think it's a lot of that goes to the film and how open Barb and Pat were, and Colonel Cammermeyer and her attorney, and Eric Fanning, the former Secretary of the US Army. And another part of that goes to film festivals such as the Paris International Film Festival, which does an amazing job letting the world know about not only that they have a festival going, but that they have films that people really need to see.
Yeah.
And so other festivals throughout the world see that, and then they pay attention to ours. And so, you know, a big merci beaucoup de tout mon cœur to the Paris Film Festival for the way that they are treating us as filmmakers and presenting independent films.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you so much. And again, and this is basically the message of Paris International Film Festival. It's all about diversity, positive change, positive media, and just making sure that we can change lives, you know, change lives, change perspectives, so that everyone can move forward. And just like yourselves, just be yourself and be open with that. So we can only thank filmmakers like yourself, Cindy, and, you know, amazing people like yourself, Colonel Thompson and Barbara, for making this possible, so that we can actually push forward these messages of positivity and fighting for your belief and the way that you should live, which is free. Yeah. So thank you so much for that. Okay. So I guess now, I mean, you know, you've told us about the fundraiser, the amazing work behind the documentary in itself. So I guess we're really looking forward for everyone to actually watching this at Paris International Film Festival, as well as the Uruguay Film Festival and all the others that you've been able to distribute in. And we can only wish you as much success as, you know, as you deserve. And we're, you know, again, so happy to have this opportunity to speak with all 3 of you. And we just want to say congratulations once again on being selected.
And just thank you for sharing your journey with the world. You know, you're helping so many people just be true to themselves and to know that they can open up and speak their truth. So thank you. And thank you, Cindy, for making the documentary.
Well, thank you for inviting us to share this story. And I hope that people, as they watch the journey of these two incredible women and others who have been also part of their journey, that they'll realize that everything that we do in service to being open and honest and in service to love has a ripple effect.
Yeah.
You know, Pat Thompson did not know at the time that she handled the military trial in the way that she did, at risk to herself. She didn't know what the end results would be, but she did it anyway. And so anything that we do that we may think, oh, that's just a small thing, somebody else may do it. No, anything that we can do ripples out and contributes to change in the world. And I think we all have a part to play in creating a world that is more just, that is more equitable, and where love is truly honored as love.
Yeah. Beautiful message to end our interview with.
Yeah,
perfect.
thank you.
Thank you so much for being our special guest today.
Okay.
Thank you.
When Pat came over, I thought she seems nice. I'll find out who this person is. I don't know if I even heard about being connected to the military. I'm not really sure when you told me, but it wasn't something that I could understand how the impact would happen.
We both were resigned to the fact that we couldn't be out and that we had to really protect ourselves.
I was able to build a secret passageway that went from our bedroom and the bedroom that was supposed to be my bedroom.
We felt that we had to be closeted in our own home.
I had a lot of anger about that. And it wasn't only our society, but it was the fact that Pat was in the military.
I was asked to be the first Army National Guard chief nurse.
That really rocked my world because I had no idea how I would continue on in this relationship with that long distance.
But I knew I had to go. It was the top rung of my career ladder. When I got to the Pentagon, we frequently could not talk.
We had to develop a code so that we could communicate when we thought lines were tapped.
You were absolutely right when you were talking about the military. Just hate this oppression.
It's hard for both of us. I love you for all of the tolerance that you exhibit.
I get this huge cardboard box, and I started looking in it, and I said, oh no, I can't do this to her.
I applied for a top secret clearance. I made the statement, I am a lesbian. I said, the Army is going to start discharge proceedings against you. And I was stunned, embarrassed, hurt. I had always believed that the Army took care of its own. And now they were coming after me.
I said that I had to be a part of that. Sorry that I had to do that to you. I wasn't ready to come out. Until now.
Please welcome Pat Thompson.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more Rhyme Entertainment Showcase.